Many of you have been requesting for us to do a video about this topic for a while. Now, just to clarify, I'll be speaking about the Torah in this episode, which are the first 5 books of the Jewish Bible. And I'm clarifying that at the beginning because many people still use the term Torah and Jewish Bible synonymously. But no, the Torah is just the first 5 books. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Leroy Kenton, and I'll be covering a lot of information in this episode. So make sure that you watch it all the way from number 10 down to number 1. So let's just jump in. Starting at number 10, we have the multiple names of God. In the Torah, you'll find multiple names attributed to God. There's Yahweh, spelled YHWH. Then there's the name El, Elohim, El Shaddai, which means God Almighty. And now there are many other names in the rest of the Hebrew Bible. These are just some common ones that appear in the Torah. As for the Quran, of course, there is Allah, which is the Arabic equivalent to God in English. There's also As-Salam, there's Al-Aziz, Al-Malik, Al-Khaliq, and many others. So as you see in both the Torah and the Quran, there's multiple names attributed to God. And in both the Quran and Torah, God doesn't have one specific name. The similarity at number 9 is that it's believed that they were revealed to people. And they actually mention this. So in the Torah, first up, there are several questions of who wrote the Torah that still come up. But generally, the Torah is attributed to Moses. However, scholars say that only portions of the Torah can be specifically traced to Moses himself. Like there's an example in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 34, verses 1 to 8. Moses dies there. But the general held view is that the 5 books of the Torah were revealed to Moses, and then somebody else probably just finished it all up. I'll actually be mentioning some scriptures later on in this episode that point to specific statements in the Torah that it was Moses that wrote it. But I'll save those for later, so stick around guys, I'll get there soon. As for the Quran, you can find in Surah 47 verses 2 this passage here. And those who believe and do righteous deeds and believe in what has been sent down upon Muhammad, and it is the truth from their Lord, he will remove from them their misdeeds and amend their condition. So as you can see, the Quran mentioned to Prophet Muhammad by name, that the words of the Quran were revealed to him. Number 8 is the Quran and Torah recount the creation story. The book of Genesis, or Bereshit as it's known in the Hebrew language, which means in the beginning, literally opens up with that exact statement. And then from verse 1, it continues to tell the whole story of creation that happens within 6 days. Now in the Quran, you can find in Surah 7 verses 54, it says, "Indeed, your Lord is Allah who created the heavens and earth in 6 days and then established himself above the throne. He covers the night with the day, another night chasing it rapidly, and he created the sun, the moon, and the stars subjected by his command. Unquestionably, his is the creation and the command. Blessed is Allah, Lord of the worlds." Similarity at number 7 are the prophecies. According to Jewish tradition, the Torah is filled with prophecies of future events. Now, one of the most important ones being the coming of a prophet, who in most traditions is synonymous with the Messiah. You can find that in the book of Deuteronomy 18 verses 15, where it says, "The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among you, from your fellow Israelites. You must listen to him." Now with the Quran, it's also viewed by Muslims as a prophetic book filled with many different prophecies. One of the prophecies are of a devastating group of people that are going to be released and cause havoc. You can find this in the Quran, Surah 21 verses 97. It says, "But when Yajuj and Majuj are let loose and they rush headlong down every hill." By the way, we've made episodes about Yajuj and Majuj and the prophecies in the Quran, so if you haven't seen those, definitely check them out. We go into a lot of detail in those episodes. But moving on to number 6, they both recognize the Torah as being given by God. Now the Torah is mentioned in the Quran. It says, "Lo, we have revealed the Torah, wherein is guidance and a light by which the prophets who surrendered under Allah judge the Jews, and the rabbis and the priests judge by such of Allah's scriptures as they were bidden to observe, and thereunto were they witnesses. So fear not mankind, but fear me, and barter not my revelations for a little gain. Whoso judgeth not by that which Allah hath revealed, revealed, such are disbelievers. And that's found in Surah 5 verses 44 of the Quran. Now in the Torah, specifically it says in the book of Numbers, chapter 9 verses 23, at the Lord's command they encamped, and at the Lord's command they set out. They obeyed the Lord's order in accordance with his command through Moses. Also in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4 verses 45, it says, these are the stipulations, decrees, and laws Moses gave them when they came out of Egypt. And by the way, the term Torah, it means the teachings. So that's pretty much summed up in Deuteronomy 4 verses 45. Like, here's a bunch of different teachings that God revealed through Moses to share to the children of Israel. Now we made it to the halfway mark in this episode. If you guys are enjoying this episode, you're loving the information, and you want more, be sure to leave a like on this episode. Also, we are on the road to 1 million subscribers. We're getting closer and closer every single day. So if you're new here to the channel, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. That way you'll join the FTD Facts family and you get to be notified of our daily episodes. You'll be learning a lot. We got a lot more information to talk about. We're just halfway in, but the similarity at number 5 is the world is destroyed in both the Quran and the Torah. The Quran has an entire chapter called Nuh, and it speaks of the prophet Noah, where he speaks of a great flood that wiped out humanity at one point in history. In Surah 71 of the Quran, specifically in verses 25 to 26, it says this: because of their sins, they were drowned and put into the fire, and they found not for themselves, besides Allah, any helpers. And Noah said, my Lord, do not leave upon the earth from among the disbelievers an inhabitant. Now, over in the Torah, the account of the flood is found in the book of Genesis, chapter 6 to 9. And in chapter 7, verses 23, it specifically says, every living thing on the face of the earth was wiped out, people and animals and the creatures that moved along the ground, and the birds were wiped from the earth. Only Noah was left and those with him in the ark. The waters flooded the earth for 150 days. Another surprising similarity between the Quran and the Torah is that spirit beings are identified in both of them. So the cherubim are the most frequently occurring heavenly creatures that are found in the Hebrew Bible. As a matter of fact, that word appears 91 times in the Hebrew Bible. But the first occurrence of the term cherubim is found in the Torah in the book of Genesis, chapter 3, verses 24. And it goes like this. After he drove the man out, he placed on the east side of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. Now, when we look at the Quran, we see that the jinn are mentioned in it. In Surah 72 verses 1, it says, say, O Muhammad, it has been revealed to me that a group of the jinn listened and said, indeed, we have heard an amazing Quran. Also, the Quran mentions angels. There's a passage in Surah 13 verses 11 that says, for each one are successive angels before and behind him who protect him by the decree of Allah. Similarity number 3 is the Quran and Torah identify Israel as special. The children of Israel have a special status, and it's mentioned in the Quran, Surah 2 verses 47. It says, O children of Israel, remember my favor that I have bestowed upon you, and that I preferred you over the worlds. Now over in the Torah, it says in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 14 verse 2, for you are a people holy to the Lord your God. Out of all the peoples on the face of the earth, the Lord has chosen you to be his treasured possessions. Similarity number 2 also sort of ties into some of the previous similarities, but the 10 commandments are mentioned in both the Torah and the Quran. In the book of Exodus specifically, you can find the 10 commandments listed in the Torah in the book of Exodus chapter 20, and it's also repeated in Deuteronomy. Now for the Quran, it doesn't list them out in order like the Torah does specifically, but the elements that make up the 10 commandments are actually found throughout the Quran. You'll find literally almost exactly word for word the 10 commandments as they're listed in the Torah. Now the final similarity at number 1 in this episode is God is referred to in plural. Now this is a big one. So in the book of Genesis chapter 1, it says, in the beginning God created, and the word for God in the Hebrew is the word Elohim, which is a plural word. Also in the book of Genesis Genesis chapter 1 verses 26, it says, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness." So here we see God speaking in the plural because only God is the creator. Now, some scholars say that it's not that God is speaking in the plural, but rather that plural language is used in order to stress the power of God. The common Christian belief, on the other hand, is that this alludes to the Trinity. Similar language is found in the Quran. In Surah 50 verses 16, it says, "And we have already created man and know what his soul whispers to him, and we are closer to him than his jugular vein." One explanation according to Muslim theology is that this also stresses the power of God and does not suggest that there are two gods at all, and that when the Arabic text is translated into English, the plural form is used as there is no exact equivalent to the Arabic text. So that's it for this episode. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. Those were 10 surprising similarities between the Quran and the Torah. And now it's time for me to hear from you guys. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. My social media links are below in the video description section, so definitely give me a follow. I'll also leave you with a recommended episode at the end screen, so give that a tap once my face is out of here, which is right now. So I'll see you guys next time.